Good afternoon and welcome to this Wednesday webinar. I see that already some people are getting in, which is great. We'll give it a couple of seconds, not minutes, seconds, to allow everybody to join because today we are talking about the Fleet Forum training and Fleet Forum and why training is important and what you can expect from Fleet Forum. And I'm here joined by my colleague Catherine J. Sentamu, or as we call it, Catherine Jura, who has taken over the role as training coordinator and field engagement coordinator. For some of you, she might be a new face to the Fleet Forum team, and we're very happy to welcome her to our team. Um, I'm going to hand over to Catherine. She will take you in more or less half an hour through all our ideas and what you can expect from us. But I will be in the background providing support. What I will also do is activate the translated captions. So as you might know, we start to try out translated captions for those of you who are not English speakers to be able to follow the webinar in the language of your choice. So that will take me a couple of hopefully seconds, and then I will pin a message and you can open the link in that message, and then it will open a new page in your browser, and then you have to sort of fiddle your screen a little bit so that you can watch Catherine doing the webinar, but also sort of read what is being said. So without any further ado, I will hand over to Catherine, and I will be back at the end of the webinar. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Rose. Thank you very much. I want to welcome you to our webinar. And I want on the chat box, please indicate where you're sitting, indicate for me how you're feeling right now. Can I see the greetings in the chat box, please? So as we wait for us to set up the translations, please watch out in the chat box for the link so that you can click on it and it can enable your translations. It will be nice to really speak to a wide range of participants. Yes, I see hellos from Idris. Yes, Stephen, welcome to the webinar. Andy, yes. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you're feeling today. Yes. So today the focus is on training. We are focusing on training as an investment, some of the benefits that training can bring to you as a fleet manager. I hope I'm very audible. If I'm not audible, you can also indicate to me in the chat so that I restructure the sound. Yes, so we focus on training today as an investment for yourself, but also for the institutions that you work for. So why is training important? Why are we looking at this right now? And what kind of skills and what kind of knowledge areas would indicate growth in the field of fleet management? So one of the areas that we see an improvement in is that there is a growing number of aid and development organizations that are starting to recognize fleet management as a key competency within the organization, and they are also beginning to see the benefits of having fleet managers within the organization. So we see this as an opportunity. And this was one of the key findings in the 2022 Fleet Forum conference. When we reviewed this past conference, the 2024 conference, we had a research done by the Coventry University. And what the research was looking at is the business case for a fleet manager. What benefits do organizations have when they have fleet managers within their teams? And one of the key areas they found is that training fleet managers has a cost efficiency effects to different organizations. The other issue that arose in this research was that there is a positive ROI in reference to key metrics such as consumption, maintenance cost, driver safety, productivity, and compliance. What does a positive ROI mean? It means that organizations are saving in different areas when they do have fleet managers on board. So this research actually proves that training your fleet managers and having a fleet manager as part of the team is a cost-efficient decision for different organizations. So we see a positive drive and we see growth within the area of fleet management. So I would want to know what other exciting opportunities do you see in the field of fleet management? What other opportunities do you see in your field? Can I see those in the chat box? Yes, I see a regional supply chain. I think just to mention one point also that arose in the annual conference within that same research was that they saw distinct features in terms of skills and knowledge areas in fleet management in comparison to supply chain and logistics field. So they found distinct skills that are related to fleet management as opposed to supply chain and logistics. So I think if you're looking for expansion as a supply chain coordinator and you are within the logistics industry, it's good to look at what other skills do fleet managers hold that is different from those that supply chain experts are having. So we look at other areas of opportunity. Somebody says, please use the chat to describe the, yes, that's true. So what are other areas of growth do we see? One of the areas that we see is net zero goals. Most organizations and humanitarian organizations will have on board the goal of net zero emissions. So this also shows a growth in terms of areas of skill and areas of knowledge that fleet managers will have to bring on board to work for different organizations that have this net zero goal as one of their targets. We also see concern and targets around carbon emissions and the type of fleet organizations have. So this is also going to be a new area of skill, a new area of knowledge, and some of the areas of knowledge that we want to look at also at policy level. What are the regulations? What are the standards around carbon emissions that are coming up now within the context that you are operating on? The other area that we see growth will be on optimal fleet size and safety. We are looking at what would be, given the carbon emission targets and net zero goals, organizations are going to want to look at what is the optimal fleet size that they have to have, especially if they have broad operational areas and operating in different areas, operating in conflict-affected areas, operating in terrains that are difficult to navigate. So the skill around data and management of fleet sizes is going to be a new area to look at. In relation to this also, we are going to look at the capacity of your analysis and also the capacity of having baseline and data around total cost of ownership. And we are going to see this skill relevant when it comes to differentiating different types of vehicles when you're comparing what it costs to own EV vehicles, what it costs to own hybrid vehicles as opposed to normal ones, what it costs to rent vehicles as opposed to owning your own. So this kind of skill is going to be relevant as we move forward. The other area that we see progress would be in adoption of data-intensive models. We are going to use data in terms of determining and making decisions around optimal fleet sizes. Data is going to be key in decision making when it comes to cost efficiency issues, and so the data analysis and data compilation skills is going to be another area that we look at in terms of growth of skills. So somebody says one of the key areas that they see growth in would be on road safety, and I agree with her. Safety is becoming one of the key issues that organizations are concerned with. We are going to also see growth areas in data-related making decisions around safety, utilizing data and the information that organizations collect. So how can you convince your manager to invest in your training? So this is a good one. How do you convince that your training, organizations need to invest in your training, you as an individual or your team? What convincing words would we have for this? So let's look at some of them. So for you to convince someone to invest in yourself, you must also know yourself. You must know yourself. And how do you do this? I think the framework of SWOT analysis comes in handy here. That first of all, you need to know your strength in relation to your competencies. So you'd want to convince management and organizations to invest in your training if they have seen what you have done before. What have you done so well before? You need to know what sets you apart in terms of skills and knowledge area. We also want to know what are your past achievements. If you have ever attended trainings before, how have you utilized this kind of knowledge when you came back to the organizations? So this, having this knowledge sets you apart when it comes to organizations making a decision on whether you should go for more trainings or not. The other area that you need to focus on is your weaknesses. I would say areas of opportunities. I would not call them weaknesses per se, but you need to know what else would training support you with. What are your challenges and how would training fit into these challenges? So some of the key questions here would be, what do you need to improve in terms of your personal skills, your knowledge areas, or your task areas? What would need improvement? The other thing you'd have to look at is the resources available in terms of investments for training. And resources would be broad. We would look at financial resources, but we'd also want to look at time availability, because as you attend the trainings, this takes at all into the time for tasks to be achieved. So resources would include also time. What new skills would you get that your job or tasks need? So these are some of the key questions you ask yourself as you look for more trainings. Then we look at opportunities. What would be your learning goals? What learning goals do you have? What learning areas would you want? And within our own Fleet Forum trainings, this is one of the first questions that we ask. Before we enroll you for different trainings, one of the questions would be, what are your learning goals, so that we can see where we match. The other important aspect in terms of opportunities are measurable improvements you will make after the training. So We also have an important component of implementation. One of the areas that training is faulted for is that many people go for training, but then we don't see how this actually impacts back at the workplace. So for you to convince someone to invest in your training, you must be very clear on what kind of improvements are you coming back to make in after the trainings. And this goes hand in hand with your learning goals. So your learning goals should be personal learning goals, but they should also target improvements within your work environment. The last area we look at are the barriers to implementation. As much as we expect you to implement your new skills and new knowledge, there are barriers to implementation that would be within your environment, within your work environment, or externally that inhibit you from doing implementation. So it's always good to take note of what barriers are there for implementing your new knowledge and new skills. And when you foresee some of these barriers, you can work around them with management to assist you in implementing your new knowledge and new skills. So the other component we look at are what are factors outside of your control that would also inhibit you from learning, but also inhibit you from implementing the new knowledge. So on the chart, can I see some barriers that you foresee when it comes to implementation of new knowledge and new skills? And yes, Rose says, if you have questions, please write them in the chat. I'll see them as we go along. Any barriers to learning that you have come across? Workload, yes, Moses, I like that one. Workload is always one of those barriers that inhibit you to complete. For instance, you sign up for a course and you knew you anticipated to finish this, but because of workload and unexpected tasks that arise in between, then this becomes a barrier. Some people are mentioning budget. Yes, budget constraints are some of the barriers that we see. Funding are some of the barriers that we see. But when you have clear learning goals that are linked to organization performance targets, and are also linked to your own career growth areas, when you clearly state how these new skills and new knowledge are going to change operational systems, then you have a case for investments in your learning. And as we see that research shows that most organizations do not doubt the effect that learning has on performance of organizations and also performance of fleet in general. Okay, so let's look at the aspects that are going to make the future fleet manager. How will the future fleet manager be like? So we have always talked of the future fleet manager working at operational level, doing tactical tasks, and also operating at the strategic level. So one of the key skills that the future fleet manager is going to have is data. So anything to do with data analysis, data management, data cleaning is going to form a big part of the fleet manager's tasks because most operations are being digitalized. We are moving towards making decisions using data, evidence-based decision making. So data is going to make a big component of the fleet manager's task. The other area that we are going to look at is risk manager. The fleet manager is going to key skills around risk management, being proactive in a lot of areas. Somebody mentioned safety as one of the areas that they see opportunities. And so this has a big component of risk management so that you are able to analyze risks and you are able to operate not in a reactive manner, but in a proactive manner. So risk management is going to form a big part of your job. Then we also have coaching and mentorship. Fleet managers have those who have direct relations with drivers, other operational staff. So coaching is going to form a big part of your job, and also mentorship. Business partner, what this means is we are going to see fleet managers engaging at strategic level as we move forward. And this involved taking part in policies, taking part in guidelines, taking part in defining different roles and responsibilities within the organization. So this is going to form a big part of new roles and responsibilities for growth. We also have project management as one of the key skills areas that is going to form the fleet manager of the future skill areas. Somebody has added stakeholder management. Yes, I agree with you. Stakeholder management is going to be a key component as you manage suppliers, you manage staff, and also you manage program staff. Stakeholder management is going to form a key part. I agree with you totally. Idris. So I hope I'm audible. Idris says he can't hear very well. Yes, yes. So that's good to know. So let's look at how do you make decisions around the different learning areas? So first of all, let's agree that training is not the only capacity building approach that we have. And training is faulted for many things, but then it is a case of using the right tool for the right job so that we know where training is fit, where we just need to do coaching, where you need workshops. And so training is one of those areas that is just one approach towards building your capacity, but it's not the only approach that we have. So as you evaluate your learning needs, also evaluate what approaches to learning would be most suited for your learning needs. So that's one. So the other choices that we have is whether you want to join online training or whether you want to go for face-to-face training or whether you want to do on-the-job internships. And this depends on the kind of skills that you want to bring on board. So some skills are better learned face-to-face. Some scenarios are better when you're face-to-face and you're interacting with your peers. We also have areas where online learning works best, especially when it comes to barriers to learning. Some people have mentioned time. One of the areas that online learning is best for is because you can access this learning anytime, anywhere, when you need it. So it does not restrict you in terms of when can you have the resources. You can access the resources wherever you need it. On-the-job training is also one of the key approaches that actually deliver real learning, because you're learning on the job, you're learning as you make the mistakes, and learning is spontaneous. It's there and then. So on-the-job learning and internship is one of the approaches that really does transfer knowledge and skills. The other area we look at is, do you want skills? Do you want to build your skill base, or do you want to build new knowledge? So the kind of training that you choose, or the kind of approach that you choose, whether it's coaching or online learning or training or mentorship, what do you want to build? So skills are completely different from knowledge areas. So we also look at the languages of instructions. You're most comfortable learning with the language that you're comfortable in understanding and explaining yourself, and also articulating. So language is also a big component when you're considering trainings. The other element that is important is time, and we have mentioned this, your time and availability and your commitment to the programs that you actually choose to sign up for. As we have said from the beginning, training is an investment. And if you're investing, the component of time and your availability is going to be inevitable, because this time and availability is directly linked to the costs that are being incurred when somebody invests in your training. So the last one is the role that you have. So depending on the content of the training and the skills that are transferred, these have to have a direct link to your role. We have talked about the importance of implementation. So it's only relevant that you acquire skills and acquire knowledge that you're going to apply given the roles and responsibilities that you currently hold. So if you are looking forward to implementing immediately, then your role matters, and the evaluation of what you're doing right now that can benefit from the new skills and new knowledge that you have. So, this then brings the different modules and different courses that are targeting fleet managers and those that are targeting drivers. But there are also those that target both operational areas. Okay, so now we focus on what we have as a Fleet Forum that also resonate with some of the areas that I have mentioned. So a key component of training is whether your training is certified or not. This is important because if you're looking at career growth, certified programs come in with higher utility when you can prove that your certificate is actually certified and recognized widely within different humanitarian settings. So what this means is that you can use this for your own career growth, and this targets your own learning objectives as an individual. So the other component of a certified program is that it is rigorous enough. All the content is thoroughly selected and assessed in terms of viability of the content. So rigor comes with certified programs. So within Fleet Forum, we have also looked at different specializations. So apart from the two core programs, fundamentals, we also have specializations, and this targets the new areas that I've mentioned as growth areas in fleet management. So we said sustainability is going to be a new growth area. So skills and knowledge around managing sustainable fleet is a key component in new knowledge, but also building skills. So within sustainability, we have not just the content alone, but also key tools that you use in terms of data management, data analysis that helps you in calculating CO2 emissions, that also helps you in benchmarking with other organizations and to see what kind of activities other organizations are implementing and what is successful, what do we learn from their implementation that you can also utilize within your fleet management operations. The other area that we have a specialized module in is road safety. And somebody has mentioned, as this is one of the areas that they foresee growth in terms of road safety, and fleet managers, the new skill area would be how proactive and what proactive operational systems do you have? And this includes, this also includes analysis of crashes and systems. So I have talked about this, the different options that we have and how you select the different trainings, face-to-face, a focus of implementation, and skill-based tools that we have. Any questions?
Catherine, well, thanks a lot for this interesting webinar about the role of training in fleet management. I see there were a lot of comments around what the importance of training is. We are unfortunately at the end of our webinar, and I also didn't see any questions in the chat, either in the chat or in the Q&A section. But I would like to welcome everyone who is on in this webinar. If you do have any follow-up questions, if you want to know more about our training programs, if you want to know more about specific trainings, I see that Andrew is already posting that he wants to know more about the safety training. We will reach out to you, or feel free to drop us an email so that we can follow up. Within Fleet Forum, we would like to stick to our timing, so we're going to wrap up. Again, Catherine, thanks a lot. And I hope to see everybody in our next webinar, which will be in 2 weeks from now, and which will be all around how, as an organization, do you ensure safety and compliance when you start vehicle sharing with other organizations. So that's going to be an interesting webinar as well. I want to thank again everyone and hope to see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.